Hi, this is Dory Durbin from That's Good Parenting. I worked with Kim in her 14-day podcast growth session, and I am pleased to say that I've already seen an increase in my download numbers. Kim helped me create a keyword bank, update my descriptions, revamp my titles. She did all of the things, and it was amazing. We got so much done in 14 days. I highly recommend her, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Again, this is Dory Durbin from That's Good Parenting.
Hello there, beautiful women. This is Kim Parkinson with Podcasting for Your Spiritual Business. And today we are going to be talking about the finances around your podcast. And not just finances monetarily, but finances energetically. We're actually going to start with the energetics. But before we do that, I just wanted to kind of like go over why I am doing a finances episode in January. And that's because of organic discoverability, right? Finances in January is a hot topic. And so, you know what? Why not go with the flow when the flow happens at a certain time of year? Now, all of this information is good in June, July, November, any time of the year, any month of the year. But for organic discoverability this month, why not have an episode where finances are at the core of the matter? So let's start with the energetics of your podcast. Do you have a podcast or two or three or more that you can send clients back to, that you can send discovery call people back to, that you can send just somebody that maybe DMs you and asks a question back to? You know, sometimes having those episodes in your pocket to be able to refer back to can really save you a lot of time and energy. And energetically, if you can save yourself on that and just say, yeah, I've got an episode about that, and I talked about that here, and you can go back and listen to it. What a great way to save yourself some really precious time, right? Rather than going back and forth in a DM or a newsletter or email or something like that, you can really just send them right back to that episode. So, for instance, I opened this up with organic discoverability. And if you wanted to know more about how to get your podcast description to really have some amazing organic discoverability, go back and listen to episode 21, where I actually explore that a lot more. Just like I said here, it's an easy way of being able to say to you, you know what? I don't have to tell you about organic discoverability anymore. I have already done an episode. You can go listen. And then if you have questions, at least then we can have a conversation about that next step. Because maybe they just needed to know that little bit, or maybe they then say, you know, I'm really interested in knowing more about that. Now, another way of just maybe energetically saving yourself is having the little testimonials. I don't know if you heard in today's episode, there was a little testimonial before the episode. This is something new that I'm bringing to the platform, something new that my coach has been talking about. And so I'm going to be testing it before I really go forth and really explain and tell this to my coaching clients. But what a great way for that individual to give you kudos verbally. And it's also a little bit of an energetic exchange. You get to hear about them and their podcast, and then you get to hear about how I can help you with your podcast. It's a win-win-win for all of us. So another energetic exchange there. Now, we're going to go into a little bit of finances. So, for the finances part, I need you to do a little audit on your podcast. Are you ready for this? So, this audit is going to help you determine whether or not you are actually asking for the sale in each of the episodes that you do, whether or not this is a solo episode, a coaching episode, or a interview even. Are you actually making the verbal ask? For this audit, what I want you to take a look at is a couple of episodes. Listen to a couple of them randomly over the last quarter and write down, is it immediately clear who this podcast is for? Now you have to listen to it with, open ears, open eyes here, but would the right person recognize themselves in the few minutes as that person that this podcast is for? Okay. Is the topic that you are talking about clearly connecting to your niche and your work? That's important too. If you have, for instance, today, if I open this up and even though we're talking about finances, but if I started talking about financing your horses or finances, your equine, addiction, I don't have one. I'd love one, but I don't. Then you may be like, this isn't the right podcast for me. So you want to make sure that you are combining what it is that you're talking about and combining it with the niche that you have so people understand the clear connection. I'm talking to spiritual podcasters about podcasting and helping them make money in their business with their podcast. So talking about finances is a natural next step here. So make sure that it is immediately clear who your podcast is for. Now, number 2, do listeners know what it is that you help them with? So have you listened to an episode and they're like, you know what? I have no idea what this person does. Then how is it that they're ever going to work with you? You want to make sure that you are really clear on what it is that you do and how you can help them. You're teaching them in the episode, but you are maybe organically adding in some of that knowledge so that they know what it is that you can help with. Now, number 3, is there a clear next step on what they should do? Did you tell them what it is that you want them to do next? Now, in most of my episodes, at the end, I tell you if you would like a podcast growth clarity call, it's a free 20-minute call. You can go to kpcreativemedia.com/clarity-call. And you can get into my funnel and you can answer a couple of questions, and then we will get together and do a clarity call. Now, I do that at the end. Should I do it more organically in the middle? Yes, maybe I should, but I'm a work in progress as well. So, do you invite people to go someplace specific? Is there a clear next step on what it is? Join your newsletter, book a call, download a resource, join your community, say hello in a DM, whatever it is. Do you give them that clear next step? All right. Now, number 4, did you mention how someone can work with you? Right. So maybe you mentioned an offer or a service that you do, some kind of way to work together. Now, this does go a little bit more with number 2, but that is, what it is that you help them with. And then this is like, did I name an offer? Did I name a service? Did I name something? People may love you and still not know how to hire you. You want them to know who they are, what it is that you do, and how you can help them, right? How it is that you can actually help them specifically. And then, do you always add value to your episodes? Now, this is super important, right? Because you do not have to have a large audience in order to make a sale from your podcast. I am currently sitting around, somewhere between 27 to 32 downloads an episode after the 30-day mark, somewhere like that. And I'm actually still calling in the correct clients. I have had people walk into my world and say, I've listened to your episodes and I can't wait to work with you, because they know me, they like me, and they trust me, and they can hear what it is that I'm doing. So are you energetically giving them that value and giving them a little piece of you, a little piece of your knowledge, your wisdom, your modalities, however it is that you teach, what you do? Are you giving that to them so that they can then understand a little bit more about you and feel more comfortable to work with you? Again, your call to action. Is it consistent? You need these to be consistent for a couple of episodes, not just one or two. You really need to let them know consistently about the calls to action. Now that would be number 6. After number 5 is the episode energetics exchange there. But number 6, call to action. Do you send people to the same place all the time? You should be at least sending people to the same place for about 6 episodes or so, maybe more, maybe less. But if it's something that maybe you don't have a large audience and you're sending them to some place and it starts tomorrow, it could be a really hard sell. It could be an easy sell. Absolutely could be an easy sell. For instance, I just started my 28-day podcast growth activation. It's a monthly event. So if you wanted to, you could absolutely go and join anytime. It's kpcreativemedia.com/activation. And we could get started right away. It has already started, but you'll get in that funnel and there's still plenty of time in the month. So we could do that. And it turns over to something else every month too. So there's always going to be another topic to refine and something to work on. So as long as you have that consistent call to action so that listeners build that momentum with you, right? So sometimes it's their first time listening and they don't know what you're offering. And sometimes it's the 100th time they're listening. Maybe you have 100 episodes and they've listened to every single one. And so now is the time to jump on that wagon and start working with you. So you, again, want to have that clear call to action in there consistently. So audit yourself. Couple of episodes. Is it immediately clear who this podcast is for? Number 2, do listeners know what you help them with? Number 3, is there a clear next step for the listener to do? Number 4, did you mention how someone could work with you? I know, again, that goes back to number 2. It does. Do listeners know what I can help them with? But do you mention how someone can work with you? So they know what you do, but then how can they get into your world, right? Number 5, does the episode feel energetically aligned? Are you giving value? Are you sharing a little piece of yourself so that they feel more confident and more comfortable with you? In number 6, consistent calls to action across several episodes. That is super important. All right. Now, maybe you've gone back and you've listened to 1 or 2 of your episodes and you're like, okay, great. I didn't do that. What am I going to do now? Just start it now. It is fine. Don't go back and go try to change things in the past. It's fine. No big deal. What I can suggest, if you have that ability, is say all 6 of those things in an outro. And then if you ever forget any of those, you'll at least have that at the end. Because, nowadays we're kind of getting rid of the old intro thing. A lot of people aren't keeping them around anymore, which is fine. I actually got rid of my intro quite a while ago now, but I do keep that outro. And I keep the outro because sometimes I organically don't add in what I need to add in. And so having that little safe fallback is kind of a good thing to have, right? So I'm really happy to keep that in there for right now. If you find that it is really difficult for you to sell on your podcast, then you're going to find it really difficult for your podcast to financially help you and make you money. There are different pieces here that you need to have set in place. You need to make sure that you're organically being discovered. Again, go back and listen to episode 21. There is, I believe, 20 and 22 that will also help you as well. If you haven't listened to those, I highly recommend. And then once you are organically being discovered, then the next step is that you should be inviting them into your world, whether or not that is into your newsletter, into your social, whatever it is. As we mentioned, you need to make sure that the next step for them is to step into your world even further. The podcast is great free content, but that's just what it is, right? It is free content that you're handing out every week. If you want to say it's equivalent to a PDF or a quiz funnel or something like that, it's equivalent to that. It's a freebie that you're offering. And so even with the freebie, the next step is to do something to get to the next part in your world, into the next part of your funnel. So Make sure you're asking for that sale. Make sure you're telling them what it is that you do. Make sure that you are inviting them into your world so that you can then find your next client, find your next buyer, whether or not that is a one-on-one coaching, a group coaching, or maybe it's a $7 offer. If they are listening to you and your wisdom and your knowledge, and they're coming into your world and they're making that purchase, that is a win for you and a win for them. Hopefully that is a win for them as well. Maybe they've learned something and they are off and running and ready to expand whatever it is that you teach. I think that's a little bit of some finances for your podcast energetically and monetarily this week. We're going to continue this series this month. I have an episode, a coaching episode where we talk about sponsorships, and I have a guest lined up and she's going to talk about some finances too. So don't be afraid to listen to these. They're definitely not hard. As you know from me, I'm not really about making any of this long and lengthy. It is supposed to be short, bite-sized little pieces that you can just kind of take and then run with. So, all right. Until next week, where your voice flows, your business grows, and make sure you get that little audit done so you can know whether or not you are actually aligned to call in clients that will pay you monetarily. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Podcasting for Spiritual Women. If you would like more strategy and tips and some tricks on how to make your podcast better, I recommend that you join my newsletter list. You can find that at kpcreativemedia.com/newsletter. Until next time.